Well, thanks, Kyle. And this morning we're taking a look into a story about a World War II tail gunner from Soldiers Grove. And joining me this morning is the author of the new book, John Armbruster. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning, thank you.
So I know that you're from the area and
Yes.
you teach in the area. So tell me a little bit about yourself first.
I'm a middle school social studies teacher at Westby. I taught at North Crawford for 20 years in the Soldiers Grove area, so I got to know Gene Moran there. And I've been teaching at Westby Middle School for the last 8 years.
So tell me about this new book, Tailspin. It sounds like there's a lot of hype. A lot of people are excited about it.
Yes, they've waited 70 years, so it's hard to know where to begin. The family's been waiting for decades for this story, and I guess you could say the starting point would be in 2007 when Congressman Ron Kine did a special interview of Gene Moran out at the La Crosse airport. And they had a big media day there. The TV stations from around here were there, and La Crosse Tribune. And Gene gave a cryptic, short interview, and he rode the plane that day. But when he was done, he said, "Okay, I'm never doing that again." And I don't think he was just talking about the plane ride. And I thought, okay, well, that's as much as we're going to get. But his family and friends, and especially some of his Legion buddies, said, you really need to think about writing a book. And here we are today.
Yeah, it sounds like the story is one that's been kind of kept quiet for a while, and people are really excited to hear about it. So what kind of inspired you to write it in the first place?
I never meant to become a writer. I was a close friend of Gene's. I do have a journalism degree. I wrote for newspapers for 2 years, but that was eons ago. So the family approached me. They said, "Would you consider writing this?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You got to be kidding. I'm teaching, I've got kids." But I was a close friend with Gene, and they came back to me and said, "He's not going to do it unless you do it." And so I'm like, okay. And I had no idea what I was getting into. So that was 11 years ago. So here we are.
Well, it's a pretty big honor, and
Thank
I'm
you.
super excited to read it. And what's kind of the biggest takeaway you want people to get from this book?
I think, I wonder, and I'm not sure, if this is going to be one of the last World War II stories from a living witness. They're all in their 90s and into their hundreds now. Gene died, sadly, 8 years ago. We worked on this together 3 years, did 28 recorded interviews with him. And then I was on my own with a lot of research and writing and editing. But I think it's just an incredible adventure story. It's one of those stories you read, it's like, how did this guy live? I mean, he had more lives than a cat. and just a spunky individual. But also, too, I think there's a post-war story to it as well. These World War II guys suffered from PTSD as well. And he had a lot of difficulties with that throughout his life. Both his mental and physical injuries, and I think people will see a different light on how those guys suffered too. They're the greatest generation, the good war, but they suffered too.
Yeah, well, I can see the passion you have about this book. I mean, it's your baby, and there's a premiere tomorrow, a viewing party at the waterfront. People can attend.
Yeah, the cargo room right across from the waterfront.
Okay, and then people can also order your book online. We
Yep.
have those links as well. So thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you the best of luck. And
You're welcome.
I have no doubt that you won't be able to sell them all.
Thank you very much.